Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today, we're going to review the Pagani Design PD1701 in the CK2998 Tribute colorway. Let's start with the wrist check. I'm wearing this Pagani Design PD1784 GMT watch with the NH34 movement, and Grogu's wearing my Tomy T093. I asked Grogu if there was any good Star Wars series coming out on Disney+. He said yeah, but he thinks they are running out of ideas. I said why? He said, let me show you the latest poster. Alright, let's take a look at the watch. It comes in this typical Pagani Design box. And here it is. Isn't that a nice looking speedy homage? I really like it. Personally, I think of all the 1701s I've had, this is probably my favorite. This is the third PD1701 on my channel, which is a fairly blatant homage to the still iconic Omega Speedmaster. This colorway is being called the CK2998 Tribute because the CK2998 was the model of Speedmaster that was the first Omega in space. And Omega does make a Speedmaster called the CK2998 Tribute, but if you look at the watch, you see it as a panda on a rally strap and not at all like this Pagani Design. So did Pagani Design get it wrong? No, because Omega also makes a Speedmaster called the first Omega in space, which does have the same blue-gray dial. So this is the watch that Pagani Design is homaging, but they couldn't very well call it the first Omega in space tribute because they can't use the trademark Omega. Although the dial has the blue-gray of the new Omega and the Fotina hands and markers, the rest of this Pagani is identical to previous versions of the 1701, including the movement case, bracelet, clasp, crown, and pushers. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, as everything else of the 1701 has always been first-rate since its introduction. If you don't like this colorway, you have issues, but if you prefer another colorway, there are 14 other choices you can make, which is way too many for me to go over and keep this video under 15 minutes. I have done videos on the Silver Snoopy Blue Panda colorway and the Red Project Alaska colorway. I will leave links at the end of this video. The watch is 40 millimeters at the bezel, 47.7 millimeters lug to lug with inverted end links. It's 14.3 millimeters thick, but that includes this dome box crystal, which adds quite a bit of thickness to it. Has a 20 millimeter lug width, which tapers down to 18 at the clasp, and weighs 143 grams on the supply bracelet with 3 links removed. The bezel is ceramic and has a tachymeter, and it looks nice. The font's nice and big and bold, and you can read it easily. So they did a good job with that. And then we have the dial. I just love this dial. It has that blue-gray color of the first Omega in space colorway. Unlike the other 1701s I've had, the indices are painted on. They're not applied at all. And they're in that Fotina color. Then it says Pagani Design Chronograph. That's printed up top. And we got those 2 little dots next to the 12 o'clock baton. And then we have the hands. We have leaf hands. And they are loomed and have that Fotina color. And then we have the white chronograph hand. This is a large second chronograph. And then we have the subdials. And the subdials just have metallic hands with no loom. And this has a VK63 Mecha Quartz. Oh, forgot to mention, there's a date at the 4:30, and look at that, it's color matched. So that's nice. I've never seen a color matched date wheel on these 1701s before, so that's really good. Of course, a lot of them have white dials, so they'd be color matched naturally, but it's nice to see this dark one have a black date wheel. Then we have the subdials. The subdials is because of the VK63, and so on the right we have a 24-hour indicator. On the bottom we have the running second hand, and on the left we have the chronograph minute counter. And this being a VK63, we have a Mecha Quartz movement. Just press the top pusher, and the chronograph starts ticking 5 times a second for a smooth sweep. Press again to stop, and then when you reset it, you get an instant snapback and not a fast rewind. The drawback, though, is if you ever have to pull the hand, you have to get a new hand or you have to get Loctite, because the snapback is so quick, the hand will fall off. And then we have the crown. We have a side screw down crown. Thread action is just great. Don't feel a lot of resistance. Pops nicely. Then when you go to screw it back down, it catches right away and you don't feel like you're going to strip it. And then the pushers are not lock pushers, but that's fine. This only has 100 meters of water resistance. This isn't a dive style watch, so if you do go swimming with it, just make sure you don't press the pushers when you're in the water, because you will let water in. Then we have the crystal. The crystal sapphire is domed and it sticks up enough. I consider it a box crystal. I don't know the official definition, but one thing though, there's a lot of reflection and you notice it because of the dark dial. You don't notice it quite as much if you have a white dial, but you really see quite a bit of reflection there. And so you just got the double combination of domed and sapphire. So that's just a reflection, perfect storm. And then we have the case. The case is wonderful, nicely shaped, nicely finished, brushed on the sides, brushed on the tops, but we have this polished chamfered edge, which gives it a nice touch. So always been happy with the 1701 case. And then we have the case back. It's a screw down. It says PD1701, water resistant, 100 meters, stainless steel, Pagani design, and then it gives you a little spaceship. Now, of course, this spaceship just looks kind of like made up. And there's Saturn right there. I don't think any of our spaceships would be that close to Saturn, but it's still fun. Underneath the case back is the VK63 Mecha Quartz movement. I already showed you how it worked. This is the go-to chronograph movement and watches in this price range, and it gives you a nice fact that you can use a large second chronograph and not the more common small second and more affordable watches. And you will have to change the battery every 3 years, but at least you have a screw down case back, which makes it a little bit easier. Then we have the bracelet. I've always liked these 1701 bracelets. They look really nice and they are fully articulating. The center links are not fixed with the outer links. And then it has these little inner links here that are polished. That gives it like a little nice touch. And we have solid inverted end links. And we have push pins, not screw pins. Most Pagani designs have screw pins, but I prefer push pins anyway. They're just easier. I never have to worry about them coming out on me, unlike screw pins where they sometimes do. And then you don't have to worry about little tiny screwdrivers either. Then we have the clasp. The clasp, unfortunately, has this diver's extension. And the biggest pain about the diver's extension is it takes up so much room in the clasp that you only got 3 tiny holes of micro adjust that are really close to each other. Now it does cover 1 link, but still it would have been nice to have some more holes of micro adjust or even some on the fly adjustment. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. That looks nice. That wears nice. It's nice and flat on the wrist. And this bracelet contours to the wrist just great. I removed 3 links. First time I ever reviewed a 1701, I removed 4. So either my wrist got bigger or they just started saving money by including 1 less link. I don't know. So 8 1/4 is probably the best you're going to do without needing more links. And this being a Pagani design, you can actually buy a spare bracelet and just rob the links out of it if you have to. I've never tried asking for more links for a Pagani design, so I don't know if you can or not. Here we are in the loom room. Normally when you mix the words loom and Fotina, you don't have good results, but the first time I reviewed this watch in the Snoopy colorway, the loom was so bad this new colorway couldn't possibly be worse. As we speed up the time, we see that none of the subdials are loom nor the large second chronograph hand. The painted baton indices fade almost immediately. The major hands, however, are much better, and I would say an improvement on previous models I've reviewed, including the Project Alaska colorway. The hands make this loom somewhat usable, but still not good loom. What I like about this watch, it looks and wears nice. I really like this blue-gray dial color. I like the Fotina hands and markers. I like this white large second chronograph hand. I really love the case of the 1701. And I really like the fact that they have a color matched date wheel. What are my gripes and groans? I wish they'd come out with another class for these Omega homages that doesn't have the diver's extension and thus has more room for micro adjust. This dark dial does really show the reflection of this crystal, much more so than a white dial would. And it would have been nice if the index loom was as good as the hands. Do I recommend this watch? Of course. The PD1701 is one of the best watches Pagani Design makes. And this CK2998 tribute colorway just makes it look even better. Well, thank you for watching my review of the Pagani Design PD1701 CK2998 tribute colorway. And I'll be back with another review or unboxing. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you like this watch, be sure to use my affiliate link and I'll get a tiny commission. But those tiny commissions do add up. And I'd like to thank my Members Choice members, and I still haven't sold the Members Choice watch. I guess I'm going to have to lower the price. Sales have been really slow lately, so I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if it's the economy or what. Bye.